Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is the Stephen Hour, and yes, we are back with another Batman 66 episode review. Today we'll be reviewing the episode The Cat's Meow, which is essentially another Catwoman-centric episode. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Our episode begins with Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson essentially attending a morning news show. Whilst there, a mysterious woman, who is actually Catwoman, is there and uses some device to steal the host's voice. And just as that's happening, the host, who is holding an umbrella, accidentally opens it, and basically a bunch of crazy stuff lets loose. A bunch of cards with basically riddles, and basically a big joke. Bruce and Dick are confused and wondering who it could be. However, after solving the riddle, realizing it was referring to Police Commissioner Gordon, who watches this news program, they quickly leave and go back to Wayne Manor. They arrive at Wayne Manor. We get a little funny scene with, Batman and Gordon on the phone. But before Batman hangs up, he asks Gordon to check at Gotham State Prison for the current location of the Penguin, the Riddler, and Joker. They head down the Bat Poles, the opening credits, and they are police headquarters. Gordon informs them that it ain't any of those three, as they're still currently locked up. Confused on who could be, pulling off this, they decide to take the umbrella back to the Batcave to analyze for any possible leads and head off. Just as that happens, Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara get a surprise visit. Catwoman and her gang, who essentially are now musicians, and essentially Catwoman has now been reformed. So this is new. However, it should be no surprise that they ain't reformed, and essentially Catwoman plans a big caper that involves essentially stealing the voices of Chad and Jeremy. Just as that, but they don't know the current location. She phones up Gordon and manages to sweet talk him into finding out the location, and then quickly steals his voice. She then quickly sets up a fake, essentially dance thing at Wayne Manor to dance with, essentially, the dance with Dick to find out where Chad and Jeremy are staying, only for her cover to be blown and essentially we leave out with them the guests, Dick, Alfred, and Harriet, with knockout gas. She eventually leaves and essentially goes to the airport where Chad and Jeremy just happen to arrive and plan to steal their voices there, but of course the whole plan is backfired due to so many people. Realizing she couldn't get away with it, she decides to go back to her hideout. Now, just as this is happening, Batman essentially gets a call revealing that Commissioner Gordon has lost his voice and that Catwoman is behind it. He realizes Catwoman is behind everything and uses the Batcave to find her current hideout, which essentially is her and a gang hiding out at a dance studio. They then head their way there, but Catwoman knows they're coming. Now here we get a few insights to where Catwoman's character arc is right here. She's still a criminal, yes, but she's clearly developed feelings for Batman, and no matter what happens, she knows that, that she can't really kill him. However, the gang is worried because they know the Batman and Robin will be after them, but she sets a trap. We then cut to, essentially, Batman and Robin arriving at the dance studio and ask for Catwoman. Catwoman and her gang shows up, and then a bat fight breaks out. What ends up happening? Well, Batman and Robin win the fight, but Catwoman uses some dirty trick to essentially knock him out. They then wake up in this weird contraption where basically water will be dripped down onto this thing, which will echo through this chamber and essentially cause the dynamics of your brain to melt and then be turned into mindless zombies. A very interesting death trap, and that's where we end this episode. Nothing with the main cast really changes. Alfred and Harriet are fine as always and fun as always to see. I love the bit when Gordon and Chief O'Hara just, are saying to them, Chief O'Hara questions to Gordon and Catwoman's really changed to leave. Gordon says, no, I know a reformed woman, I will see one. And I love how it comes back to bite him when he essentially loses his voice, which I find to be really funny. As usual, Bruce and Dick don't get to spend much time in this episode because we always want to spend time with Batman and Robin. And I certainly like how Robin essentially, doesn't get how people could fall for Catwoman, but Batman says, it's easy to, and he'll understand it when he gets older. Again, we're still in question how old Dick/Robin is, and I find this thing to be funny because I think deep down Batman really likes Catwoman too, though just won't admit it. And that is something that will essentially be a topic for the rest of the season. But of course, we can't keep going without talking about the feline Felonious herself. Julie Newmar's Catwoman is fun as always. Now, this is perhaps her most ambitious plot probably ever of the series. Basically, what she's trying to do is steal people's voices, but also like how it's clear to her that she has really developed this infatuation and love for Batman, and it's something that's making the rest of her crew very nervous because they know that this is essentially a weakness. I like that especially. I also like how a lot of I will admit a lot of sexual innuendos we get with her, and I think the comedic side of her is really there in not just this episode but the next part that will be coming up. Again, Julie Newmar's Catwoman is very complex. She's a woman. She's essentially a cat burger who wants to enjoy riches, and she also can be fierce and almost kind of not scary, but very fierce in one moment and then comedic in the next. And she almost has this love-hate relationship with Batman. She's always trying to bring her to his side, just as he's trying to bring her to his side. And I especially love it how if things don't go her way, she will essentially resort to killing him. It's a sort of love-hate relationship and stuff that definitely echoes with not just more modern Batman stories, but the relationship between Batman and Catwoman in general. For me, Julie Newmar is, for me, the best depiction of Catwoman, probably of the entire series. We also here have Chad and Jeremy. First off, we have no idea who these are. Basically, during the whole British invasion, when the Beatles hit it big, many other British musicians were trying to jump on the bandwagon, you know, and basically make a name for themselves. Chad and Jeremy did. They had a unique vocal style and music performance that was very different to their contemporary British artists at the time. And they were so huge, of course, they had to be here on this show during this time period. And I think that this story, or at least the plot of this episode, was written around just these two because they were huge and in demand at the time, and that's why this plot can sometimes be a bit weird. It's interesting that the show was able to do this, and I absolutely love it. The Cat's Meow is, for me, is essentially a fun episode. It's nothing really quite groundbreaking, other than probably having Chad and Jeremy on the show. It's a fun episode with a nice innuendos, and basically Julie Newmar just owning the role of Catwoman like always. We get a lot of funny Batman moments. For me, it's just a fun episode, and honestly, that's not a bad thing. It's okay to have fun, mindless entertainment episodes. And there we have it. That was the Cat's Meow. Join us next time where Batman and Robin will still be continuing with their fight with Catwoman. So until next time, the same Steven hour, the same Steven channel, ladies and gentlemen, so long for now.